Hey, Soca lovers, it's Soca Say So.
And this chick.
And we're back with episode 3 of season 7. And this season, we're tackling the topic. Are we over it?
In this episode, we are asking the question, are we over Black excellence?
No, that's
I
what we're
mean,
talking
that's what we're talking about. Are we over Black excellence? Hear me out. Let me cut.
about. Okay, go ahead.
A lot has been going on in the media. A lot has been going on in politics. A lot has been going on in corporations in the stock market that is basically telling Black Americans that we're just not going to be considered in 2025, possibly through to 29. There are companies rolling back DEI, they're stopping diversity training, they're not being inclusive, they're stopping partnerships with Black-owned brands at some retailers. So I feel like it might be time for a little Black mediocrity. Like, why we gotta try so hard?
I mean, are we sure they're talking about Black people though? Because,
Girl,
like, I think like they're like talking about like immigrants and people that like are here illegally and I mean like yeah, you should be here legally.
oh, you know that's not what it is. When you hear urban,
They
when you hear
wouldn't believe
critical
it. They
race
tried.
theory, when you hear DEI, you know all of that means blackity black, black, black. Because they are not talking about when we listen, diversity, equity, inclusion is supposed to be about not just race and sexuality. It's also about people with seen and unseen disabilities, women, neurodivergent, the economically disadvantaged, and yes, immigrants. But when they say DEI, they just mean black. They just mean black. And to
Simple.
say with their full chest that we're not going to celebrate Black History Month. Come on.
Not only am I celebrating Black History Month, I'm celebrating Grenada Independence Day because we're recording on Grenada Independence Day. Pick up my people. And there is excellence all up and through my ancestry. And just listening to so many stories for Black History Month of, the amazing, courageous, wonderful things that Black people have done in America specifically. And it's exhausting that you get to this point and now they're like, yeah, you probably didn't get that job because you merited it. You got it because you're a DEI hire. What?
Yes, of course. I mean, we did just have an election with HBCU grad, member of one of the oldest Black sororities, has been in office as the first Black vice president, the first woman Black vice president. And then she goes up against, I don't know, that guy from that show, The Apprentice, and she's the DEI. It
Yeah.
is almost as though, listen, we know how many times those of us who've been traditionally marginalized and disadvantaged, we know the saying, you have to work twice as hard. And so we do. We are so merited to be in these spaces. In order to even be at the table, we have to come with all of the degrees, all of the experience, all of the credentials, whereas other people get in because this guy is a friend of mine, or, his son goes to school with my son, or, my grandfather donated money to make that college library. And so I get in. But yet, people who have had no advantages and many disadvantages being told that, oh, you got in because of affirmative action, because of DEI, you weren't really qualified. One of the things that used to annoy me was when someone would say, well, you took my spot at that school, meaning you were entitled to a spot
Mhm.
and I was not. And the only way that I could get into that school is to take something from you that you were entitled to. This is not new rhetoric. It's just at the federal level again.
It's really disconcerting because so many people won't even apply for schools or for jobs until they feel like I have enough, accolades behind me. I have enough degrees, I have enough experience. And most Black people will have way more, like let's say like 90% of or more of what's in the job description when they're applying. And I remember, I wish I had the exact stat, but it was like white men have like 40%. They're like, oh, I check out 40% of this. I should definitely apply. What? You're not qualified. You didn't even have half of what they're asking for. I
Mhm.
deserve to be there. And Black people are not the same. We're always reaching for excellence. We're always going for the most. That's exhausting. Maybe I am over it.
She's waking up, folks. She's waking up. I mean, we recently saw protests, trying to get Elon Musk out of government affairs. I think that was on February 5th, that Representative Maxine Walters, Ayanna Pressley, like they were Jasmine Crockett, they were all there protesting and saying that this man does not need to be at all at the table of government decisions and politics. He was not elected. He's not qualified to be here. And yet somehow this guy is able to make decisions, affect policy, even though no one elected him to any office. And who's on the front line? Black women. I'm just like, listen, maybe take the cape off. Maybe we just sit this one out and just let whatever happens happens. Don't get me wrong, I'm not one for apathy at all, but I do feel like all of this, even when you're looking on social media, so many when it comes to like protests for immigration and things like that, a lot of content creators have been like, well, where are the Black people? We stood with them for Black Lives Matter. And it's like, why are you always calling us? We were 92% and 78%. We were there. We showed up.
Yeah. I just want to point out that a major part of being an elected official is
Hmm.
being vetted by your party, being vetted by those who are voting for you, being vetted once you get into the position, especially in the White House. To like sweep the floors in federal buildings, you've got to go through a whole vetting process, right? And the more access to information that you have, the more you have to prove that you can be trusted with that information
Hmm.
because everybody wants that information internally and externally, in the country, out of the country. Everybody wants that information, and you don't know what they want to do with it. A lot of
Exactly.
people want to do nefarious things with it. And so you must be vetted so that we know that you can be trusted with the information. And if there was no process for you whatsoever, and you've been given everybody's information or high level information, that is scary. That is
Mm.
really scary. And that's just, you can't just say, well, I'm good at efficiency and I'm good at making money. And so I will be good at efficiency for a government. A government standards are totally different than business standards. The issues that have to be conceived and weighed and put against each other are totally different than our company needs to make money.
Yeah, and the losses are far greater. Your company does not go to war. Your company does not affect homelessness. Your company does not affect immigration policies. Like this is way beyond that scope. And for him to be able to just not only have a seat at the table, but some are speculating be at the head of the table. Imagine what that says, that someone who has a vested interest in profits, in laws that actually will affect how his company does business and where they can get contracts, not to mention all the talk of tariffs, that person now has a stake in those policies. Conflict of interest, at least. But also, how's this guy in the room? How is this person in the room? No one voted for this person. But speaking of voting, the hashtag that is trending today on February 7th, when we were recording this, leaving MAGA, because so many people feel like they have been bamboozled and tricked into voting for basically what this man said he was going to do. There are educators who are like, well, we didn't think he would cut funding to education. Pretty sure he said so. There are people who Their immigration status is like we said in the last episode, sometimes illegal means not yet legal. And they're like, well, we didn't think he would come for us. And it's like, but everyone saw this. How did you miss this part? And it's
Mhm.
really because he hated who you hated.
Right. Part of Black excellence is um, creating lanes, really being ahead of the curve. And once again, we were ahead of the curve. We knew what was coming. We paid attention. We saw what was coming down the pike, and we created a lane for you guys to have a president that would care at least, a little bit more about, your interests. Maybe not 100%, but a little more about your interests than we have now.
Mhm.
And you're late to the party. You're late. I'm exhausted.
Word.
I was
We've
talking
turned
about
off the lights. We've put away the food. Like we're done. We danced already. We're done.
kitchen
Party.
light is on. Like, don't go in. Like, oven light
My
is on.
bra. I'm not doing anything else.
We're done. We're done here. But yet we still have to go to work, be excellent at work, go to school, be excellent at school, even though we don't know, where if our doors are going to be closed. I have friends in the federal government who don't know if they're going to actually have a job, come Monday. And they had to be in their Black excellence to get those jobs. And now they're wondering if it's just going to be ripped away from them overnight. And that's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's not only just like our livelihoods, but also what we have access to purchase. Companies are rolling back DEI, which also means some of them are stopping partnerships with Black-owned brands. Companies like Target, like Meta, like Google, which also owns YouTube, where we're putting this.
A bit less.
They're rolling back DEI and they said it with their chest. They definitely said, we are rolling this back. And I want them to stop saying DEI. I want them to say, we are rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are no longer interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah. I, it's rough. It's rough. People are trying to figure out, do you boycott all those companies that say that they are not going to have diversity, equity, inclusion programs anymore? Do you only purchase the Black products that are in those stores? Do you what do you do? Do you boycott for a little while, boycott forever? I don't care what you do. The interesting part is that a lot of people um, went to some of those stores and made sure they put their products in those stores when they did increase the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And
Yeah, we had companies like BLK Gold Coffee, Ghetto Gastro, a dozen cousins, which I just heard about. Beauty brands like Bevel, the Lip Bar, Honey Pot, as you mentioned, made sure that they were in Target stores. So those companies are definitely going to be affected. Those brands are going to be affected. I think recently Tabitha Brown mentioned that she's like, look, I've got swimwear, hair care, I've got so much stuff in these stores, but she fully understands the sentiment around boycotting because you need to send a message. And hopefully, we'll be able to access those brands directly, do some
right.
e-commerce instead of going into these retailers.
Or hopefully the pressure of a boycott will make them change their minds, change their
Yeah.
policy. That
Well,
can happen as well.
I
Right?
mean, some of that is already, it's happening to Target, right? There was a lawsuit from their shareholders because they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The stock price went down after you announced you're rolling back DEI. Hang on. Yeah, so they're definitely seeing it in the pockets, but is political pressure more than the financial pressure or the economic downturn?
We shall see. It is part of our Black excellence that we don't get to bury our heads and say, well, I'm just going to turn off TV. I'm just going to turn off social media and not going to think about it because it is in our face. It is, in our vernacular. It is, again, affecting our jobs, affecting the way we shop. And
Mhm.
so it is hard to bring the excellence to get to these places and then have to use the excellence to figure out how do I still survive in the way that I've been surviving in spite of all what is going on in this administration.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, of course. But on the flip side, you have companies that you can support. Like maybe some of those brands will move over to Costco. Was it Al Sharpton
Everybody
just
go,
led that like buy-in in Costco where like 100 people showed up to just shop at Costco? Which did you need to do that? People were going to shop at Costco.
no, but you need to. Yes, I need to do that. If you're out here saying that you're for me and you're gonna stand up to a lot of people that say that out loud, yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Yes, and
Yes,
Apple, Pepsi, Trader Joe's, yay,
hey,
JP Morgan Chase, they also have said that they are going to continue with their DEI programs. Surprisingly, McDonald's said, no, we're not doing DEI. I wonder how many people will boycott McDonald's.
y'all still going to McDonald's? Just wondering.
First of all, love yourself more. That's all I'm gonna say.
Seriously. Anyway.
But yeah, there are things that we can do. We can absolutely do things. But like I said, I think some of us just need a little break. I think we do need to, we're always on the front lines, especially Black women. That's right, I said it. So I think sometimes you want to take off your cape and just relax. I know personally in my career, I have definitely fought for inclusion, not just for myself, but for people coming behind me. I didn't want to be the only Black woman in certain rooms. I didn't want to be the only woman in certain rooms. I didn't want to be the only Black person in certain rooms. So I do think, just on a daily basis, we're always trying to represent the entire community. That gets exhausting. It gets exhausting. And I think we're seeing at this point that all of that hard work can be so easily diminished. And you can have people saying that all of your work, all of your credentials, all of your education, it doesn't matter because you were only hired or only brought in or only admitted because of your race.
I'm not quite sure if we know how not to be excellent. Like I know that sounds grand, but I if well, all you've been doing is studying
Yes.
extra hard, doing extra work, you know, picking up the slack of other people at work and doing community service and spending more time at church and doing and doing and doing, do you really know how to relax? Do you really know how to put those things down? I don't know. When people keep saying, oh, well, when they come to us, I'm just going to sit back and relax and watch it happen. I don't think that if you've lived your life in excellence that you really can, maybe for like a day, a weekend, but I don't think you can really shut it down. So I will allow you
Yeah.
to say you're over it, but
I don't know. I mean, you're right. When excellence is sort of a survival skill, because the only way to get into those rooms is to be excellent, because you have to somehow prove your worth to have an opinion. I do think it is going to be difficult, but I do think at some point we need to not always be the go-to. I've said this to people in corporate as well. If you're always the one cleaning up the mess, people don't know there's a mess. Sometimes you have to let it hit the fan and be like, y'all smell that? Does everybody smell that?
I'm guilty of not knowing how to do that. Oh, I'm like, but it's
No, I have definitely been able to do that because I'm like, no, why should it always be me to clean this up? Why should it always be me to do this? When I know I'm not going to become your CEO, your CMO. And so many of us are taught this, right? Because there was a time when it made sense to just work hard, keep your head down, make sure you're doing things, you're getting in based on your merit and your character, and you're doing that. But that doesn't take into account when the world stops being fair, when that stops being valued. And so you're doing the same work, you're having the same survival skill of, I just got to be better, I just got to do better. And it's not rewarded, and you're not seeing anything come from it. You're just a hamster in a wheel. You're driving yourself crazy trying to overachieve. And someone comes along and says, nah, we're going to reduce all of your accomplishments to your race.
well, this would have been an easy transition, right? if the real idea was, I don't need to take into account your diversity. I don't need to make things equal because things are equal already. I don't need to include you because I don't need to include you specially because I want to include you anyway. That would have been fine. But then we're looking at the cabinet that is being proposed, and it is a bunch of people who are not equipped or not prepared to do the jobs that they are put in. And they're the ones saying, hey, private companies, do not follow diversity, equity, inclusion programs, cancel those programs and be like us, which means just choose the white person because you do not need to worry about anybody. You don't need to include others in the conversation. And that's the scariest part. It would be fine if we were moving forward, but it seems as though we're moving backward.
Well, they're taking advice from the felon in chief. So I really can't, I really can't look to them to be the moral pillars, the ones who uphold any kind of values when political pressure is causing. Imagine you're already a billionaire, Zuckerberg. You're already a billionaire, and you still will kowtow to someone else because of their political affiliations. When do you get to be free to make your decisions?
That's not interesting.
I'm just saying, if he can't. But yes, we are not. There's a reason why HBCUs exist. There's a reason why affirmative action exists. There's a reason why school breakfast exists. Like, there's a reason why these things already exist. If the world was fair, we wouldn't have needed them.
It's really wild. But in the middle of Black History Month, I will have to quote Kwame Nkrumah and Morris Bishop and say, forwards ever, backwards never.
Mhm.
And then I will also beg to rave. Can I rave?
Fine, I will still allow you to rave.
Okay. Well, allow me to rave to a real dope song called Forward by DJ Private Ryan and Terri Lyons. Let me go.
Pressure, the pressure getting long. Give me a ease up, peace of mind. The pressure building, time to unwind. Call my friend, them have a good time. But the pressure getting long. Leave the bad things behind. Walk the path and trust in divine. Don't matter the journey, don't matter the climb. We pressing on. We will find we way. Keep a smile on we face. Winning the race, singing amazing grace. Thank God every day. Feel the warm embrace. Find we way on the train, so give me some room and space. We moving forward. Don't back down like coward. Forward. Anything with the forward. Don't back down like coward. We moving forward. Need a chance to ease up my tension. Don't care about anything that went on in the past. I just have to mention the pressure getting long. Different dimension. Take a shot and free up the mental. Can't even finish my sentence, but pressing on.
Pressing on. We're going forward. And sometimes we'll take a pause, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. Ease. No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. No one's saying you can't move forward. You just don't have to move forward so quickly. Maybe you take a little chip. Maybe you don't run. Maybe you don't sprint. You just take a little chip.
I like that. I like that.
Are you going to stop being excellent? Dang
No, never.
it.
Listen, I'm going to shine bright no matter what they're doing. That's it. That's it. I can't dim my light for these people. What?
Despite your unwillingness to acquiesce, I feel like I am going to embrace some Black mediocrity for a little while. At least for a little while. Until y'all get your little country together.
Yeah. Be mindful. think about yourself sometimes and think about your community and maybe have some community encouragement and let people know around you it's okay to ease up. We're moving forward, but we could take it ease. We don't have to be full of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way. I mean, Black mediocrity is still pretty damn good.
That's true. That's true. I would love to hear what you, what in your life, what plans are you moving forward despite all the craziness that is going on? Which plans will you be moving forward in 2025?
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to hear from them to see what they want to do, if we're embarking on any new journeys, any new adventures, doing anything different. I mean, honestly, you can't let all of this in, right? You can't let all of the craziness, all of the madness, all the political nonsense in. And media outlets are going to over report. Once they see people are clicking on a topic, they're going to keep going with that topic. Take a ease up. Don't always take it in. Don't always read through everything. I'm talking to myself now. Just make sure you turn away from it a little bit. Do something else throughout the day. Look forward to something else. It doesn't always have to be, we talked about it before. You want to stay informed, but you got to stay sane too. And
Exactly.
sometimes that's just giving a little ease up, Maybe that report gets done in 2 days instead of one.
Saying it's still excellent. It's still excellent, but not that high level. Okay. All right. I get it. You sold me. You sold me. I don't have to be under full pressure, in full excellence at all times. I can take an ease up and still move forward. All right. Sold.
Nice. Yes, we got her, guys. We got her.
Thanks for listening, guys. And make sure you're following us on all social media. DK Rant and Rave. And also follow this chick at DYSCHICK.com.
Of course, they have to follow you. Soka Say So on all social media and sokasayso.com.
Yay.
Yay!
Okay, bye.